here for you with just my voice today. Just gonna go over my top 10 cards from the upcoming set that will be released on November 2nd, Sun and Moon Lost Thunder. If you do not know, this set is absolutely huge with 240 cards, and that is not including the secret rares in the set. So that's just a massive number. Add another 10 to 15 cards on that, looking at 230 probably. So one of Pokemon's biggest. If it's not their second, it's their third largest set that they've ever released. So the set is pretty dang big, which means there were a lot of cards to choose from for this list. But I've narrowed it down to a top 10. But before we get to that, I have a few honorable mentions, cards that just missed the list, just missed the cut. Over there on your left, we see Sceptile GX for a single Grass Energy match cut. Discard a special energy from your opponent's Pokemon. That's pretty dang good. And then for 2 grass, 130, and then move a grass attached to that Sceptile to one of your benched Pokemon, which then allows you to use its GX attack, Jungle, Heal GX, and then says heal all damage from your Pokemon with Grass Energy attached to it. So 130 is a good number to hit. Getting rid of special energy is always good, and healing on your pokes is also very good. 230 HP, stage 2, a 1 retreat cost, which I thought was a little surprising to me. I thought it was going to be 2 or even 3, but overall I like the card. I might test it out, might not, we'll see. Next card to Sceptile's right is a Naganadel. This card is very splashable because it only attacks for colorless energy, so you can put it in practically any deck. The ability it has on it is called Charge Up, which is put a basic energy card from your discard pile onto this Pokemon. So it's energy acceleration, but only to itself, which is pretty good because it's hitting for 80 damage. If you're hitting for a psychic weakness, that's 160, and that's pretty good. The attack itself is Turning Point, does 80 plus an additional 80 if you have 3 prize cards remaining. If you have exactly 3 prize cards remaining. So 160 for 3 energy, and it can accelerate to itself. So all you really need to do is get an energy from your discard pile to it using the Charge Up, and then attach a DCE, and you're swinging for 80 or 160 if you got those 3 prize cards left. So that's really, really good. 1 retreat cost, pretty decent. 130 I thought was going to be a little higher, but 130 for stage 1, pretty solid. Then to the right of that, we have Sigilyph GX with its ability Mirror Counter. I like this ability a lot. It says if it was damaged by a GX or EX, put that many damage counters on the attacking GX or EX. So if they do 100 to you with a GX or EX, you're returning that 100 and saying, hey, you get 100 too, which just makes it easier for you to return knockout during your next turn. I like this card. With the amount of like non-GX, EX attackers, I don't know how viable it will be in today's meta, but I can definitely see this becoming or being seen as a one of maybe it's just like a tech attacker and like Malamar or some psychic deck that's running out there, running along out there. It's first attack for the psychic in the DCE that you see there. It just says 80 and it's not affected by resistance. So that's cool. Getting into Zorak for a clean 80, clean 110. If you got a choice band, if they did any damage to you, then you're hitting for more. And then it's GX for the same energy cost, 60 damage times the number of energy attached to your opponent's active. So if they have 2, that's 120. If they have 3, that's 180. That's pretty good. The weakness to electric is what brought me to this card. You don't see a lot of electric out there, and for it being a psychic card, hitting for psychic weakness, not being weak to psychic or dark for that matter, I just find really good, and being resistant to fighting, really, really good. That's why it is included in the Just Miss list. Next card you see there is a Dialga with its first attack with time down, doing 60 damage and devolving your opponent's active Pokemon if it's an evolved Pokemon. 60 damage is a lovely number to hit because a lot of basics are 60 HP, especially relevant ones like Rowlet, Cosmog, Zorua, Routes, Alolan Vulpix. I'm sure there's more that I'm forgetting. Please name them in the comments. But it's just a good number to hit, and allowing or devolving your opponents and probably knocking out their lower evolution. Inkay, that's a good popular one. Inkay. Devolving your opponent's Pokemon and killing and knocking out the basic that's underneath is just really, really good. So that's why Espeon EX saw a good amount of play. I think this honestly could be seen in some metal decks out there because it does cost the metal in the DCE. I could definitely see it being played in decks like Magnezone, where it's easy to get those 2 things, easy to get 3 energy on there. And then its second attack, Power Blast, does 130, and then you discard an energy from it. That's an easy energy requirement, especially in Magnezone, just because it's easy peasy to get it. And 130 is a really good number to hit, just because you're able to knock out the Baby Buzz, your opponent's Dialga, maybe. Your opponent's Naganadel, you see there, also having 130. Baby Buzzes, Shining Lugias, Dalmais, Orangaroos, Malamar is easy. Bunch of basic non-GX EX attackers. And then the last card you see there is a Gardevoir, which has the first attack is Brilliant Search. Search your deck for 3 cards, put them in your hand. It's pretty much Fairy Wind from not pretty much, it is Fairy Wind off of Sylveon GX in the shape of a Gardevoir, and it just sets up its second attack, which is Sensitive Ray, 70 damage plus an additional 90 if you played a supporter during your turn, so it's pretty much Gallade from Breakthrough, except it's not fighting, and it's not Gallade, it's Gardevoir. And it does cost an extra energy. But 70 plus 90 is 160, which knocks out a lot of things, because you're hopefully playing a supporter every turn. And then 160 turns into 190 with a choice band. It's pretty dang good. But with that being said, let's get into the list. At number 10, we have Shuckle GX. I've seen some Japanese lists playing this card, and that's what drew me to it. I was like, what does this card do? He looks funny. Let's read it. Its ability says, Protective Pile. Prevent all damage to this Pokemon by your opponent's Pokemon with 2 or less energy attached to them. So if they just have a single energy or a double colorless attached to them, they're not damaging Shuckle GX. And that to me is hilarious. I find it very, very funny. The attacks are nothing really to pay attention to. Your opponent's active Pokemon is not poison, put 3 damage counters on it instead of 1 with triple poison, and then Wrap GX, 40 damage, they are paralyzed. This is basically going to be a stall/mill deck. I don't see it being played in anything else. If it does, I'd be very surprised. I like this card a lot. I find it funny. I definitely want to try a mill version with this to see how well you can do with this, because I think this actually has mill potential, and I'm excited to see where this card sees play, and if it does at all, because I like it, and I definitely want to see it. Moving into number 9, we have Macargo GX. This is another card that saw a heavy amount of play and heavy amount of tops at Japanese events. Now, the Japanese meta is a little bit different than ours in America and European, as they are playing with, I believe, X and Y on. So they have a good amount of cards that we can't use. But Macargo GX, with its ability Crush Charge, saying once during your turn before you attack me, discard the top card of your deck. If that card is a basic energy card, attach it to one of your Pokemon, probably this Macargo GX, paired with the Macargo from Celestial Storm. You can, with Smooth Over, search your deck for a card, put it on top. Then you can use Crushing Charge. That card you probably just grabbed was an energy, and you're guaranteeing an extra energy attachment for turn, which we all know is really, really good. And then it just pairs well with that Lava Flow attack for 50 damage plus. You may discard any number of basic energy cards from this Pokemon. This attack does 50 more damage for each card discarded this way. So if you discard 3 energy attached to Macargo, that's 200 damage, 230 with Choice Band, 250 with Kukui. That's a massive number. You're not going to be needing to hit that number every time, so maybe just discarding 1 or 2 even can get you where you need to be. 2 is probably the ideal, because 180 is a good number to hit. Excuse me. And then Magnum Burn GX for a single fire. Discard the top 5 cards of your opponent's deck. If they're running low, on resources, might as well just try to get them with this card, or with this attack if you don't have the necessary energy requirements to use a Lava Flow. I could definitely see this becoming a deck alone by itself, with you playing 3 GXs, 3 non-GXs, 4 Slugmas, and maybe a card that we'll mention later. And then a Rengar for some draw, a Victini Prism Star because you know you're going to have the fire energy in your discard pile. I can definitely see this card becoming its own archetype, and I'm very curious to see how people take it. I know I'll be testing it. I'll be testing a lot of cards that you'll see in this list, so I'll let you know how it goes. With that being said, moving on to number 8, we have Blacephalon GX, also known as Circus Ball or Cake Pop, because he looks goofy. I don't even know if that yellow dot is his eye. If you know, let me know. But anywho, this basic GX for 180 HP, it's pretty good for basic. Its first attack for a single fire says your opponent's active Pokemon is now burned and confused, adding 20 damage between turns, and confusion is a decent little attack. Free confusion at that. Seems pretty solid. And then for 2 fires, 50 damage. You may send any number of fire energy attached to your Pokemon in play to the Lost Zone. This attack does 50 more damage, or 50 damage times the number of cards sent in this way. So, kind of like Macario, except they're going to the Lost Zone, not the discard. If you get rid of 3, you're doing 150. If you get rid of 4, you're doing 200. So that's just pretty dang solid. And then the main draw to this card is its GX attack, which says discard one of your prize cards. If that card is an energy, attach it to one of your Pokemon. Energy acceleration in the form of an attack has always been good, no matter where that energy comes from. And technically taking a prize has always been good, no matter when you're taking it, whether it be your first turn or your last turn. Taking a prize, you're doing something right. So, and with the amount of fire energy that you typically play in a fire deck, the probability of a fire energy being in your prize cards is pretty good. So I can definitely see this card seeing play. It would be, again, its own deck. So that's nice. Maybe play with some Ho-Ohs or Reshiram. It'll definitely play Kiawe's. So yeah. Number 7, we have Netball. This card is an item card. It says search your deck for a basic grass Pokemon or a grass energy. Reveal it and put it into your hand, and then shuffle your deck. This card, pretty dang solid. Free search has always been a want and has always been a need, and has always been good. You look at Level Ball, grabbing 90 HP or less. You look at Nest Ball, grabbing just basic Pokemon. Even Mysterious Treasure, you're giving up 1 card in hand, and Ultra Ball giving up 2 cards in hand. Those are costs, but they're not terrible costs. Netball has no cost, and it's versatile in grabbing either a grass Pokemon or a grass energy. So it's guaranteeing you one of the 2 for that turn, which is why it'll see play. It'll see play in Decidueye. It'll see play in the Lost March deck. It'll see play in Vika Volt decks, would that be Ray or Bulu? So I can definitely see it being played in a numerous amount of grass decks that are using grass energy. So that is why Netball comes in at number 7. At number 6, we have Zebstrika. With the loss of supporters like N and Sycamore, we did lose a good amount of draw support when rotation hit. So seeing a draw support similar to Sycamore in the form of a Pokemon is pretty cool to see. We do have cards like Marshadow, like Oranguru currently, that does help with drawing. Oranguru more so with drawing every turn. Marshadow is just that one-time shuffle draw. But Zebstrika, you're only using it for its ability, which is Fast Break. Once during your turn before you attack, you may discard your hand, then draw 4 cards. If you have a dead hand, or if you just don't like it, don't need the pieces in it, you can say, okay, I don't need these. toss them and draw 4 cards, which hopefully those 4 cards will get you something that you can play. Drawing cards is always nice. That's in any card game, really. So the more card draw that you have, the better engine that you have. Is always just solid. So number 5, this is probably my favorite card from the set. I like this card a lot, except for probably, actually number 4 is pretty good too. No, 3, no, I can't, never mind. That's why there's a list. But Zeraora GX comes in at number 5 with mainly the ability Electric Zone, giving each of your Pokemon that has any lightning energy attached to it free retreat or no retreat cost, even itself. So this will definitely be seeing play as probably attacker or an alternate attacker in either Bulu or Vigore. Probably more towards Vigore, seeing that Ray plays a heavier or a higher electric count of energy than Bulu does. I can definitely see Ray switching to a higher electric count energy just because of Zeraora. I don't know how well Zeraora will become viable, dare I say, in the meta because of Buzzwole and Lycanroc still running around in this format. Maybe you play some weakness policies in your deck just to avoid getting hit for weakness, because Zeraora does have that fighting weakness. And then Zeraora's attack isn't that bad. 160 can attack next turn. That's pretty dang good. 190 with the Choice Band, 210 with Kukui. Pretty solid. And then Full Voltage GX, attach 5 basic energy cards from your discard pile to your Pokemon in any way you like. That's practically charging up 2 Rayquazas, 2 Shining Lugias, 2 Dhelmises, -1 energy for both, really. Or just a strong charge away from getting a bunch of damage or a bunch of energy on the board, which is always good. And it doesn't limit it. It's not limited to just lightning energy. It's any basic energy, so you can grab grass and lightning from your discard pile, or lightning and whatever other kind of energy you are playing your deck. This could be played in a Alolan Raichu deck. It could work. So that's just nice. It's kind of 3 cards in one, with Dark Cloak from Darkrai EX from way back when, Buzzwole GX's Knuckle Impact with its second attack, and then Nitro Tank GX from Turtonator. So 3 cards in one. Zeraora is very good. I like this card a lot, and that's why it comes in at number 5. At number 4, we have the new Alolan Ninetales GX, the Fairy version. This card is also seeing a good bit of hype, and I know I'm itching to get it. I have a list ready to go as soon as the cards are available for online and in stores. I am definitely grabbing these because I definitely want to try it. I've seen lists with Buzzwole, I've seen lists with Decidueye, I've seen my list is a sneak peek. It's with Gardevoir, but I like this card a lot, especially with how that full art looks. It's not the one that you see on the screen, but I'm sure if you see it at your local GameStop or game store or league or anything, you will agree with me. It is perfect. But that being said, 200 HP is a little lower than the water type Alolan Ninetales GX, because that one had 210. But The ability is what we want. Mysterious Guidance. When you play this card from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, you may search your deck for up to 2 item cards, reveal them, and put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck. Paired with the Water Alolan Vulpix from Guardians Rising with the free attack Beacon, this is nuts. So you go second, or you use it on your second turn. You can Beacon for 2 Pokemon, preferably an Alolan Ninetales GX and a Stage 2, or just another Stage 1, or something that another Pokemon that you need. Let's just give an example. A Gardevoir, you have a Routes on the bench, and you just use Beacon. You grab a Routes, or you grab a Gardevoir GX, and you grab an Alolan Ninetales. Those 2 cards stick in your hand during your opponent's turn after they swing at you, or after they just take their turn. If your Vulpix is not knocked out, you can evolve into Ninetales, search for a rare candy and another item that you need, evolve into your Gardevoir, Secret Spring, attach return, swing with Snowy Wind for 70 at your opponent's active, and then 30 to one of their bench. That's pretty dang good. And then Sublimation GX. Wow. If your opponent's active Pokemon is an Ultra Beast, it's just knocked out. Doesn't need damage or anything. As long as it's an Ultra Beast, it's knocked out. So I know Buzzwole gave Gardevoir a good bit of problem before rotation happened. It could still be a problem after rotation. We still have Ultra Beasts out there in the form of Ultra Necrozma, Dawnwing's Necrozma, Duskmane is out there. Pretty much it besides that and Buzzwole. Baby Buzz is also pretty annoying, so you could just knock it out, take 1 prize. Easy peasy. Don't need to do any damage to it or anything. So just taking a prize or an easy knockout with the GX attack is pretty solid. 2 retreat cost is pretty solid. They're pretty standard, just because that's what the other one has, I believe. It could have 1, but 2 is fine either way. Weak to steel, weak resistant to dark, pretty good. 200 HP, could be 210, but no real complaints. Overall, very, very solid card. Number 3 is Ditto Prism Star. This card just looks funny. I love the green flames in the background of on the card. The green blue with the black border of the prism just looks really, really nice. Look at those fists. He's gonna fight you, but he can't really fight you because he has no attacks. He just has that ability, evolve into anything. I don't know if that's the name of the official English version, but it says during your turn you may play a stage 1 evolution card from your hand onto this Pokemon to evolve it, excluding your first turn and the turn this Pokemon comes into play. So you can potentially play this in any stage 1 deck. Wow. It just adds a 5th basic for you to evolve into anything. You could play this in Zoroark, Lycanroc, Malamar for an extra Malamar. If an Inkay goes down, you can play this in Macargo, which is why I mentioned it earlier. You can have 3 GXs, 2 non-GXs because of Ditto Prism Star evolving into any stage 1. Now, I'm still waiting an official ruling because they released Pokemon releases official rulings on cards a little bit before pre-releases, so judges and tournament organizers and all those people can get official rulings, so they don't have to just make it up on the spot for cards that have interesting wording like this. I am not now with the my main point is I don't know if you can rare candy from Ditto. The way this is worded, I don't think you can, but I'm still awaiting an official ruling from Pokemon on that matter, because if you can, then that just opens the floodgates to this being played in a whole lot more decks. But the versatility is what makes this card very, very good. 1 retreat cost, weak to fighting, typical. 40 HP kind of sucks, but it's not getting knocked out by a bunch of things. Force, you can get knocked out pretty easily by a Lele, pretty easily by Baby Buzz, so make sure that it's protected, make sure it's down turn 1 where they can't really hit into it. But the ability to evolve into anything is just really, 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 really good, and that's why this card comes in at number 3. Number 2 is the big one from this set. A lot of people are hyped for this deck in particular, and these cards in particular, because they will be its own deck. This is probably the only, probably not the only, but one of the decks that will be compiled of a lot of cards from this Lost Thunder set, and that is the Lost March archetype that will be coming with a lot of cards dealing with the Lost Zone in this set, ergo the title of the set, Lost Thunder. These 5 cards that you see on your screen just pair so well in a Lost March deck. If you don't know what Lost March does, it is the attack of both Jumpluff and Natu. Jumpluff doing it for a single grass, Natu doing it for a double colorless. It says 20 times the number of Pokemon in the Lost Zone, excluding Pokemon Prism Stars, so you can't just load Prism Stars in there and they count. But the way you get them in there is either with Lost Mixer, putting 2 cards from your hand into your Lost Zone, then draw 1 card from your deck, so putting 2 Pokemon cards, adding 40 damage, or Skip Bloom's ability, which he does evolve from Hoppip. So once during your turn, before you attack, you may search your deck for a Jumpluff and switch it with this Pokemon. Place this Pokemon and all cards attached to it into the Lost Zone, then shuffle your deck. So you'll be adding both Skip Bloom and Hoppip into your Lost Zone, so and adding another 40 damage to power up Lost March. And then the last card is Trumbeak with that Mountain Fairy ability, allowing you to look at the top part of your opponent's deck, and you just put it in the Lost Zone from your hand. So once during your turn before you attack, if this card is in your hand, you may place it into the Lost Zone. If you do, look the top card of your opponent's deck, then return it to the top of your opponent's deck. If that card is a supporter, put it in the Lost Zone instead. It just allows you to see what they're going to draw on their next turn. If you don't like what you see, you could judge or Marshadow them. That seems pretty solid, especially if you already have Jumpluffs out, your Natu out, enough damage to do so, and you can just do it twice. You can just go Trumbeak and just add 20 damage, and you're just throwing, or add 40 damage, and you're just throwing Pokemon in the Lost Zone for free, essentially. So the line that you'd be playing is a 4-4-4 line of Jumpluff, Skip Bloom, of Hoppip, 4 Trumbeak, and either 2 or 3 Natu, and then maybe 1 or 2 Lost Mixer, because you don't need to throw all of your Pokemon into the Lost Zone. Just a few will be solid, a Lele or so. So there's plenty of opportunity for you to hit massive damage, while you're hopefully taking 2 prize cards with knocking out GXs or EXs, and them only taking 1 when they knock out your Jumpluff. The only downside is Jumpluff only has 70 HP, but it does have free retreat, so that is very good and well to take aware of. Skiploom also has free retreat, but you will pretty much just be using Flower Bridge as soon as you get Skiploom out. And then the number 1 card from Lost Thunder, in my opinion, this card is very good, and it has a beautiful artwork for the full art. That is Professor Elm's Lecture. This card says search your deck for 3 Pokemon with 60 HP or less, reveal them and put them into your hand, and then shuffle your deck. If you were around for when Breakthrough was in play, you will remember a card called Bridget, allowing you to search for 3 basic Pokemon or 1 EX Pokemon and put them onto your bench. This allows essentially just you grab your 60 HP or less Pokemon. You're grabbing 3, so that's always good. It's grabbing as many as you can and putting them into your hand. So a good example would be you can grab 3 Zorua, you can grab 3 Rowlet, you can grab 2 Rowlet in a Zorua, you can grab 2 Zorua and a Rowlet, you can grab 2 Cosmogs and a Rowlet, you can grab 3 Inkays. This card will see play because you're grabbing 3 of your basics with 60 HP that will be evolving into those massive stage 1s that will be seeing play a lot. Now, I'm not saying this is going to go into every deck because some basics have 70 HP, like Trubbish, like Slugma, Poipole, and so on. So it won't see play in every deck, but it'll be seeing play in at least, I'm gonna guess, 80%, maybe more, of competitive decks. So if you do pull your regular Professor Elm's lectures or the full art at your pre-release this coming weekend and next week, make sure to hold on to them because you'll be playing them, or people will be wanting them and be happy to trade for them. The other thing to note is they do go to your hand. So if you grabbing a Pokemon, for example, the Skiploom only has 60 HP, so you can grab 2 Hoppips and a Skiploom and guarantee a Skiploom for your next turn in that Lost March deck. So that's just really good. I can't tell you enough how good this card is and how excited I am for this card. Plus, it just looks freaking amazing. Look at how happy that Totodile is. He just wants to be my friend. Elm, he's just worried about something. But I like this set a lot. It's got a lot of potential. I definitely give this set a B+. With the amount of cards that's introducing into this meta, it's definitely going to shake up this meta with the addition of multiple decks, and hopefully it just makes the meta a little bit less of a triangle or so. So yeah, that has been the list. So let me say thanks for watching. I appreciate it very much. Tell me what you guys think. If you disagree or totally agree with my list, make sure to leave a comment below. Tell me what your top 10 is. Tell me what your favorite card from this upcoming set is if you happen to go If you haven't looked at the full set list, it's out there on either PokeBeach or LimitlessTCG.com. So feel free to look at that. Tell me what your top 10, what the top cards you're looking forward to, what deck you're gonna try first. Just tell me what you guys are thinking. Tell me what you're putting in your deck box for testing with cards from the set. Yeah. With that being said, I've been Matt for the deck box, where we want to know what's in your box. So good night, guys.